My name is Lili K. I'm a jazzy soul singer, and this is how I make my mark.
All right, so first question, at what age did you first start singing?
I've been singing for forever, since I was a really little kid. My mom was always playing music and stuff like that, but I got really into it probably around 3rd or 4th grade. I had a vocal teacher just at my elementary school who really kind of brought it out of me. So I'd say around that time, 3rd or 4th grade.
So your mom played all the music in the house with you growing up. What kind of music did you grow up on?
A lot of Motown, definitely a lot of Motown. Some classic rock too, so like Steely Dan and like the Beatles and the Beach Boys and stuff like that. And then also I listened to a lot of No Doubt, and I don't know, I had influences from everywhere. So I love No Doubt so much. I went through my whole little pop punk phase. There was Weezer, Blink-182, Green Day, all that, and then I discovered the whole world of R&B and hip hop, and then I discovered neo soul and jazz, and it was over.
Yep, word. What is the first time that you ever performed in front of a crowd?
That I can remember, I think the first time I performed in front of a crowd was in 4th grade, and it was for a Christmas concert, and I sang the Christmas song, the Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire thing. And I remember a bunch of my teachers started crying, and it's what did I do wrong? And they're like, no, you did something right. Okay.
So they were brought to tears over a Christmas song. That's incredible. That's awesome.
So I guess that was the first one.
All right. How would you describe your style of music?
It's definitely a blend of genres. If I had to put an overall term over it, it'd probably be somewhere under the soul umbrella, but it definitely pulls from jazz and hip-hop and Latin influences. My voice is definitely a jazzy voice, just in the texture and the tone of it. I'm kind of meant to do jazz music, but then I like so many other things, so I try to pull from everywhere. And so I guess jazz, neo-soul, hip-hop, fusion, electronic, singing.
Just a hodgepodge of...
Yeah.
Grew up with all those hodgepodge of influences. Right. It's bound to show in your art.
And I mean, if you want to be a great artist, I feel if you confine yourself to a certain genre, that can hinder you, So.
You don't want to pigeonhole yourself ever. So I guess describe a little bit of your creative process. Are you one that, I don't know, I come from a rap standpoint, so I'm normally one that likes to get the beat first and then write to it. But then what is your...
It all depends on the song. I have a lot of voice memos in my phone just of ideas that I've come up with, cool melodies or lyrics, or I usually carry on a notebook with me too. I don't like to type lyrics in my phone. I like to write them down. So I have this little notebook that's filled with scraps of paper and all that. But then there's other times, especially if I'm working with Peter Cottontail, where we'll just kind of be jamming out and come up with ideas and stuff like that. Or, I don't know, so it just really depends. And with other producers who I'm not in person with, they'll send me something and I can write to it. But I think my favorite way is to just create together, because the creative process of working off of each other and the feelings and the vibes and the emotions and all that, I think creates better music overall. Because you can really, the audience can feel that, the listener can feel that, the feeling that was there when it was created.
So you mentioned Peter Cottontail. You guys put out the Metal Pedals project. So I guess, can you walk me through your just what was the direction for both of your projects? And My Favorite Things, which came out after Metal Pedals, and then Metal Pedals.
Well, we actually have 3 projects. The first one we released before anybody knew who either of us were. It's called A Prelude to Hello. Metal Pedals was second, and My Favorite Things was third. And each one has kind of been a progression, But Metal Pedals, we were both in a really electronic space. We were listening to a lot of Little Dragon and King and stuff like that. And so we really pulled from those artists, like, for a lot of inspiration. But sticking to like this whole neo-soul jazzy vibe that, you know, I've always wanted in my music, and the whole like Dilla inspiration behind Peter's production and stuff like that. So Metal Pedals was really based around that. There's also some like deeper songs in there because I went through like this crazy breakup like in the midst of writing that. Oh yeah, you know. But yeah, some crazy stuff happened. But so yeah, that was that one, and then My Favorite Things, which is the newest one. I just had the idea that I wanted to do a project full of like revamped and revisited jazz standards. A lot of people, especially in the hip-hop world, aren't that familiar with jazz standards or the jazz genre, period. But basically there's a lot of standards that were written by these amazing songwriters and that have been redone by artists over the years. Like, that's the point of the standards. Like, if you go to a jazz jam session and everyone's like, oh, what do you want to play? Oh, we can go through Autumn Leaves. You know, it's just like, and everyone knows it. So that's kind of like what the standards are. And so I picked out a bunch of my favorite ones, and we kind of, you know, changed them and made them into these little neo-soul jazzy jams. And My Favorite Things is the name of a jazz standard, actually. So I used that to kind of bring it all together.
Dope. You mentioned Dilla with Peter Cottontail's production style for Metal Pedals, or My Favorite Thing?
For everything.
For everything?
It's like one of his biggest influences.
So what are your influences, hip-hop wise or R&B wise, neo-soul wise?
I mean, the biggest artists who've influenced me as an artist were definitely those of the neo-soul movement. So Lauryn Hill, India.Arie, D'Angelo, Anthony Hamilton, Musiq Soulchild, Jill Scott, Erykah Badu. Like, those are the ones that really showed me I can take this, and this and make it into what I want to make. So just like the neo-soul movement was probably my biggest inspiration. But then as far as a vocalist, I'd say my biggest inspiration would be Ella Fitzgerald. One of the, you know, I mean, in my opinion, the best vocalist of all time, but a jazz vocalist, and she really mastered using your voice as an instrument as opposed to just being a singer. And I think that's kind of, I don't want to say sets me apart, but I mean, I look at my voice as an instrument. I don't want to call myself a singer. It's more, I'm a vocalist or I'm a musician, even though I don't necessarily play any instrument that well. Like, I can BS my way through like a chord chart on piano, but she definitely taught me how to approach music a different way and singing in a different way.
So you mentioned Musiq Soulchild as your list of inspirations recently. Was it about 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
2 weeks ago you had the show with him opening at the Shrine.
Yes.
How was that experience?
Oh my God, that was so good. During his sound check, I like started crying because I was so overwhelmed. Like, Musiq Soulchild! We actually covered one of his songs in all of our sets. So I mean, it was just crazy. Like, he's a huge inspiration. Or if I'm having writer's block or I want to figure out a way to say this and not make it sound corny, I'll like listen to some of his songwriting because he's such the master at like simplicity in lyrics and just like straight up like, this is what it is, but it translates so well and it evokes so much emotion. So opening for him was just a crazy experience. He's such a nice guy. One of the things that really stuck with me is that during his set, you know, keep in mind this is a Grammy nominated, I think he's been nominated 11 or 12 times for a Grammy, and he's won so many awards and has performed all over the world and has a huge loyal fan base. And for him to be up there and say, it's hard out here for a soul singer, like, damn, I got work to do. Like, because, you know, the music I make isn't mainstream. It's not supported or funded or promoted by radio, really, or by the internet. It's pretty much just by fans and by word of mouth and performing. And it's hard that, you know, I'm kind of putting myself in this difficult area, but it's what I want to do. So it was like an inspiration and kind of a reality check at the same time. Like, It's gonna be hard because I'm not making pop, I'm not making R&B, I'm not making hip hop. I'm making this like really specific, weird thing that's outside of any mainstream genre, and luckily I'm developing a pretty solid and loyal fan base, but it's gonna be a slower and longer process.